threats. That's all the MAGA has. That's all Donald Trump has. Threats. When things don't go their way, they threaten everyone. And I do mean everyone. Whether it be an American citizen that just disagrees with them or is in another political party, or even judges and prosecutors, senators, including the president himself. In this particular case, I'm talking about the judges in Colorado State Supreme Court who removed Trump from the ballot. Here are several excerpts from Axios.com's article, Law Enforcement Investigating Threats to Colorado Judges in Trump Case. Quoting from the article, FBI and Denver police are investigating threats to the Colorado Supreme Court justices who last week ruled that former President Trump cannot appear on the state's ballots in 2024's election. The big picture, a Denver Police Department spokesman told Axios on Monday that officers are providing extra patrols around justices' residence in the city following threats against the justices who found the 14th Amendment insurrection clause applied to Trump in relation to his actions surrounding the January 6th U.S. Capitol riot. Quote, let me rephrase that. The U.S. Capitol insurrection. Let's not play each other what happened on January 6th, what the intent was. Going on for the article, driving the news, analysis by nonpartisan research nonprofit Advanced Democracy showed significant violent rhetoric from Trump supporters online against the justices and Democrats following the majority ruling, NBC first reported last week. The posts have demanded the justices' personal information be revealed, and one user of a far-right pro-Trump website appeared to reference the judges in a post saying, and I quote, "All effing road rats must effing hang," CNN, unquote, CNN noted on Monday. To stay at play, this is a quote directly from the FBI to Axios. The FBI is aware of the situation and working with local law enforcement. We will vigorously pursue investigations of any threats or use of violence committed by someone whose extremist views to justify their actions regardless of motivation. That's all well and good from the FBI. But the people we need to be hearing from is the MAGA. The MAGA in Congress, especially turds like Mary Jean Taylor Greene and her ilk and the rest of them. We need to be hearing from Donald Trump saying that these threats are wrong. But we're not going to hear from any of them for two explicit reasons. Number one is because they're terrified that the MAGA base will leave them, or even worse, quote threats to them, pushing threats on them, saying that they're traitors, they're all this, that, and the other. And number two, and I wholeheartedly believe this is the primary reason, is because they agree with it. They agree with the threats. They agree with them threatening judges. They agree with the bloodshed that they're screaming for. See, it's not enough to say this is wrong. They need to find ways of committing action to this. They need to support the FBI and local law enforcement. I mean, for God's sakes, we're talking about the MAGA. They're supposed to be back the blue. They're supposed to be stand up for police. They're supposed to be the party of law and order. We didn't see the party of law and order on January 6th because they disagreed with law and order. And I know some idiot out there is going to say, what about the 2020 riots? That was 10 times worse than January 6th. Here's the thing. The difference between January 6th and the summer riots. And I made this clear many a times on my videos. January 6th was a terrorist attack pushed by a madman. What happened in the summer of 2020 was inevitable. Because sooner or later, at some point, when we see African Americans being murdered by law enforcement officers who crossed that line, like Derek Chauvin did, something like that was bound to happen. And the inaction of people like Donald Trump, like the rest of the MAGA, focusing on trying to find anything to justify murders like George Floyd, like Sandra Bland, like so many others in this country. That is what contributed to 2020 riots. Now, again, I'm not condoning what happened. I'm not supporting what happened, but I understand why it happened. I understand the reason it happened. Now, I can understand the reason without supporting it. But I haven't heard one single MAGA Republican in Congress, in the Senate. I haven't heard any Donald Trump supporter anywhere saying that these threats against judges, prosecutors, American citizens, in this case, the Colorado Supreme Court, I have not heard any one of them say that this is wrong. This should not be happening. You need to stop this. The MAGA, they support this. They're okay with this. Mainly because they don't want to lose votes, but more to the point because they think in the terms of, I support this because I'm going to let them do the dirty work. I can support it without going that level. And some of them have gone to that level. Mary Jane Taylor Greene has definitely gone to that level. So before you start commiserating about the 2020 riots, before some MAGA idiot goes out there and says something about that, here's some advice. You clean your house before you even think about trying to tell us to clean ours. But with these threats, it only shows how incredibly dangerous these people really are. They have a man, Donald Trump, who honestly they believe is going to protect them. He's not going to protect you. He doesn't care about you. He didn't protect you on January 6th when you were still in power and mass arrests were being made for those crimes. He didn't protect you when the COVID-19 virus hit us. He didn't protect you when every natural disaster on his watch happened, unless he could make a good photo op out of it. And the sick part about it is that I just read this not too long ago, a few days ago, that Donald Trump supporters want Donald Trump. They want him to be a dictator. A dictatorship in which law and order, the thing that the Republicans love to run on, law and order, doesn't exist. It's only the law and order of Donald Trump, not the law and order of the Constitution. But the sad part about all of this is that this can be avoided. Donald Trump cannot be allowed to regain office because the laws in this country will die. The freedoms of this country will die a very slow, painful death. And there won't be a single thing any of us will be able to do about it. Because Donald Trump will have an army of gun-toting nut jobs to help him. And as I said earlier, and I should probably add this before I end this video, I know there are Republicans out there who want to speak out against this. Speak out. Because the longer you stay silent, the more you show that your silence right now is complicity. Your silence is agreement with this. Your silence shows that you don't care about what's happening, but you need to care. Because at some point, Donald Trump might consider you a threat. And the minute he does, the MAGA will do everything to eliminate his perceived threat. And you know what that means. You see the threats against judges, against prosecutors, against American citizens, against senators and congressmen, mayors and governors. You really think he's going to stop at a few state Supreme Court judges? It's only a matter of time before he deems someone you know or someone you love as a threat. And he's going to demand that you remove that threat. Not him, you. And what's going to happen if you do? CTP, know the truth. God bless. Peace to the left, justice to the right.